As I mentioned already, I do like to walk. I love walking around, looking at architecture and places, and you know, getting the feel of a place. I'd much rather walk around a place than be driven around it. Although, you know, both are good in terms of getting a sense of a place. But I think I'd much prefer to be up a mountain than in the city, to be really honest. I love to be out. So, I mean, I live in Abbey Wood, which has the advantage of a Elizabeth line station and an old ruined abbey and a massive wood. It's a little bit of giveaway in the name there. And I love walking in the woods. I love watching the changing seasons and all of that. Yeah, I like to cycle, I like to canoe, a bit of climbing, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also known for my interest in, what should we call it, mindfulness and more what some people would call spiritual things. So I love yoga. I've done Tai Chi over the years. I've recently been learning about Daoyin, which is another Chinese-based approach. And yeah, I mean, just to me, it's all about mind-body connection and awareness. So rather than just being focused on thoughts, it's about being tuned into what's happening in your breathing, in your whole flow of body energy, which is yeah.
What does Daoyin do that Tai Chi and yoga don't?
Well, that's a great question. So the person who's teaching me would say that Daoyin is a principle that underpins both Tai Chi and yoga. And the principle is all about, it's what I've just been saying, it's all about following the body's instinctive, self-corrective flow. So it's about, rather than following a set of particular moves or a particular way of doing something, it's about feeling into what your body needs and going with that. So you might feel like you need to stretch your legs, and you might sit down and stretch your legs and really stretch until you feel you've stretched enough, and stretch in whatever direction you feel like. I mean, it's much more open and free flowing as a way of, you go to a Daoyin class, everyone's doing something different, but they're all following the same principle.
What does that tell you about, and we were talking earlier about the public spaces and the parks in Redbridge, what does that tell you about the form that those should take, and how the council should be shaping and nurturing those places in order to help people with their well-being?
Well, certainly I think that bringing different ways of working with people in terms of all these types of what you might call body health, you know, they're not set ways of working. That all of those, I think there should be a place for, and I think bringing that in is something I'd be really interested in exploring. But the other thing is just taking public spaces and using them to demonstrate these kinds of things. So when I lived in Brighton, I used to be part of a Tai Chi group, which every Sunday morning would do Tai Chi in the park. You know, you've seen the pictures of people doing it in China. It's happening every Sunday morning in Brighton. That, I think, inspires people, excites people, and for those taking part, gives you a real sense of community and togetherness, which is really strong.
Awesome, Mark. So given what we now know about you, about your some of your outlook on life and how to get through it, let's rewind slightly and going back to the beginning of your career, you know, if you hadn't gone into housing and you hadn't gone into the public sector, where do you think, in a sort of sliding doors movie of your life, where do you think you might have ended up?
Well, I nearly did a geography degree rather than the urban studies degree, and you know, I was always more interested in the human geography end of things. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard to predict. I think I might have gone into something around you know, mapping because, as I said, that was really I was really interested in maps. So if there was some kind of technical role around mapping the world, mapping areas, and so on, that might have appealed to me.
Probably it was planning, actually, isn't it?
It was probably that. Yeah, it was probably that.
The apple didn't fall far from the tree in that sense.
No.
There was something else you said earlier that I was really interested in. So what you've said in terms of talking about what you do when you're not working, it's fair to describe you as a bit of an explorer. You know, you like walking, you like exploring internally, spiritually, as well as externally, and your love of maps. All of that fits into a sort of consistent picture. So as an explorer, how do you feel about taking up a permanent role at Redbridge, given the sort of interim nature of a lot of your roles in the past, and also how important you said the commitment to place is in achieving good development?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've done 7 years as an interim or a consultant, and I loved it, and it stretched me in all kinds of new ways and got loads of experiences from it. What it didn't give me was that sense of seeing something through to completion. I set up a lot of things and then left other people to finish them. So the move back into a permanent role is about saying, I want to stay in one place and commit to seeing this through. And I can't tell you how long that is, but you know, it could easily be 4 or 5 years or longer. But it's still with a sense of exploration. I think it's still with a sense of, obviously it takes time to get to know a place. It takes time to explore what's possible in a place, and then the art of delivery, I think, is still around a sense of exploration of, well, what comes next, and then what comes next, and then what comes next. So to me, it's all a bit of a journey anyway.